comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So just finished watching the UFC at my house. A friend of ours went overseas and has given us their little, I don't know what the fuck it is. I think it's like an IPTV fucking set-top box, some dodgy thing that just has every channel, 6,000 channels. All the US, all India, every channel. Russia, Iran, because I've been fucking frothing to get some Iranian news. All of it, it's all on there, and you can't type in to search. The search function on this set-top box is just, it's retarded. I don't even want to get into it, but you can't search. It's too hard. So I had to scan through 6,000 channels, starting at 1, to get to the UFC. And it ended up being somewhere around 2,000. An Indian channel, Sony fucking Sports 2 or something. It's what I was watching the UFC on when I was in India. And if there was a search function that worked on this set-top fucking box, I would have been able to type it in and gone straight there. But it doesn't work. But anyway, I scanned through and now I've got the channel that does the UFC. And happy days, you know. So the UFC today, what fucking happened? I watched it with my kid today. He was sitting next to me on the couch. He was loving it. Absolutely loving it. I think it completely turned him off the jiu-jitsu tournament I'm forcing him to do in November, late November. But that's what parents are for, to force you to do things that you would otherwise not do. And I think that is what parents meant to do. I was dropping my auntie, my dad and his wife off last night. They came around for dinner. And I was telling them how I'm going to force my daughter to do jiu-jitsu as well, and my son until they're 18, and then they can fucking decide. And my dad's wife was a little bit like, no, you can't do that. They've got to do something they enjoy doing. I'm like, yeah, they can do that as well, but they'll be doing this. I'll be forcing them to do this. And she was like, nah, you can't do that. And I was like, I wish I had parents that forced me to do something I didn't want to fucking do. I did karate for 1 day and then was allowed to quit. I wish my dad was there to say, hey, get the fuck back in there and you're doing it. You're not sitting around playing fucking Sega Mega Drive for the next 3 years. Get in there. Then 5 years into karate, I would have been happy with it. I would have been like, this is great. I love karate now. I'm glad I never quit, but I quit after 1 day. There'll be some non-negotiables. You'll be doing these particular things, a self-defense. You'll learn to defend yourself and attack, regardless of whether you want to or not. You'll learn a musical instrument, regardless if you want to or not. And you'll be playing some sort of team sport, whether you like it or not. And you'll learn another language, covering all bases that I missed. Then with the 3 or 4 minutes a day you have remaining free, you can do whatever you like, except for watch TV and play on the phone, play on the iPad, eat chocolate, eat sugar. None of it. That's how it's going down. So I watched it with my son today, and it's the first sport he's actually sat there and enjoyed and watched, like properly. Soccer, he sits down and watches, but he doesn't really give a fuck. Cricket, he doesn't give a fuck. AFL, he doesn't give a fuck. Rugby, doesn't give a fuck. But people beating the absolute living shit out of each other, enthralling for the people of all ages. So basically 2 fights today, the big ones. Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Popov. No, his name's Sergey fucking Pavlovich. Remember Alexander Popov? The Russian 100-meter freestyle champion? We used to call him Alexander Popov. Like fart. He was sweet. So Pavlovich, Russian animal. On a 6-fight, first round KO win streak. Just a scary, psychopathic looking Russian guy versus Tom Aspinall. A big dude. A big English fucking pommy bastard. And I'm going to tell you now, I didn't think Aspinall had any fucking chance. I thought he was going to get clipped and it was going to be all over. But that's not what happened. The exact opposite happened. Fucking Aspinall comes in, and he's a huge dude as well. But he comes in, I think he almost got clipped by Sergey, but he sort of fucking kept his wits about him and then came back and just 1-2 and then another 1-2 to the side of the head, or just a 1, and out. KO. He actually KO'd him with the first punch, but the second one was for good measure. So England have an interim heavyweight fucking champion. He is more or less the heavyweight champion now because John Jones is injured. Miocic isn't really going to fight him because Miocic is only going to fight John Jones. It's a bit messy, the heavyweight division. Anyway, he's really the heavyweight champion at the moment. But as good as that fight was, I really didn't give a fuck. What I cared about was the Alex Pereira fight. I just love fucking Alex Pereira's story. There's such a sweet story arc, especially with him and Israel Adesanya. So Pereira has had like 8 fights in the UFC. He comes out, beats a couple of guys, then beats Izzy Adesanya, wins the middleweight title. In the rematch, loses it, moves up a weight division because he was cutting like 22 kilos a fucking fight and couldn't do it anymore. Goes up to light heavyweight, beats an old champion. I watched that. That was a little bit fucking 50-50, but he won. Then next fight is this fight for the light heavyweight championship against Yuri Pahovic, or whatever the fuck his name is. The Czech samurai dude. And like they came out, Alex Pereira has this low calf kick that's just wicked. It's wicked. He got Yuri like 2 or 3 times in the calf and he was compromised. After 2 kicks, he was compromised badly. He couldn't put weight on that front leg, but it was a bit of a duel. Yuri sort of clipped him a couple of times, but nothing like proper, and then there was a little bit of shit on the ground. Then the second round, Pereira just kept on getting the fucking leg, and it looked like it was going to be all over because there's no power. Once your leg's taken out, you've got no fucking power. This is coming from a guy who's done like 7 or 8 kickboxing classes, so I'm pretty sure I'd know. So he's moving like bad. He comes in, Pereira clips him, sort of sets it up with the right, then comes in with the left, drops Yuri, then fucking Yuri comes around Pereira's legs, trying to do like a double leg takedown. Pereira just starts slamming him in the head and then elbows him in the head, and then it was called Pereira's win. It looked like it was a little bit early. The stoppage was a quick stoppage, but after the fight, Yuri said, yeah, I was out, so it was fair. Then Pereira, and this is the interesting thing. Here's where it all gets interesting. Pereira, after the fight, calls out Israel Adesanya. Now, Adesanya didn't want to fight Pereira again. He's like, the rivalry's over. Even though Pereira beat him twice in kickboxing, and it's 1-1 in MMA. Izzy won the last one, and he was like, nah, it's all finished. I won the last one, I win the whole thing sort of thing, which is a little bit weird. I don't know why he's doing that. He's actually 3-1 behind. But he came up with some saying, whoever laughs last, laughs loudest, and that seems to be the end of it. It shouldn't be the end of it. So now Pereira, after this fight in the cage, is like, let's go again, Izzy. And Izzy lost his belt to Sean Strickland a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. So he's not middleweight champion anymore. So he really hasn't got any fights going on there. Pereira's like come up to light heavyweight and will finish the fucking trilogy, which would be probably one of the greatest fights of all time, like the most anticipated fight of all time. If Izzy won that, Izzy would probably become one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's already up there. I really like Izzy. But that would be epic. Going up, fighting the Potan at light heavyweight, that would be about 20 kilos different to what they fought at middleweight. That's dangerous. But if he could go up and do that, that would be insane. Anyway, let's see how that all plays out. That's the UFC wrap for this week. That'll do for today, and I'll see you the fuck later.